A missile Iran had never used in war just reached Tel Aviv. Not a test, not a warning, a live strike. And buried inside that launch was a system defense planners have worried about for years, because it compresses detection time, reduces interception windows, and quietly shifts the math of modern missile defense in ways that don't show up until it's already too late. But here's where it gets strange. This wasn't just one missile. Iran labeled it Operation True Promise 4, Wave 54 of an ongoing campaign. That sounds routine. It isn't. Because for the first time, the IRGC confirmed the combat use of the Sejjil ballistic missile, a platform that had existed on paper, in tests, and in satellite images, but never in an actual battlefield scenario. And they didn't send it alone. They paired it with a heavy strike package, the Khorram Shar, carrying a warhead approaching 2 tons, the Hypersonic, the Qatar medium-range system, and the M.A.X.I, a maneuverable precision missile. On paper, that looks like redundancy. In practice, it creates a problem. Different speeds, different trajectories, different interception challenges, all arriving in overlapping windows designed to stretch air defenses thin. Standard logic says missile defense systems are built for this. But the data reveals a paradox. The more layered the attack, the less predictable the defense outcome becomes. And that leads to the real question, why introduce the Sejjil now? At first glance, it's just another ballistic missile. It's not. The Sejjil can travel roughly 2,000 to 2,500 kilometers. That easily covers Israel. But range isn't the headline. Timing is. Older Iranian systems rely on liquid fuel. That means fueling before launch. That means heat signatures, movement, satellite detection. The Sejjil skips that entire process. It uses solid fuel, preloaded, stored, ready. So instead of hours of preparation, you get something closer to minutes, sometimes less, which creates a dangerous compression, detection, decision, interception, all squeezed into a narrower window. That should still be manageable for modern systems. It isn't always, because the Sejjil adds another layer, mobility. No fixed silos, no predictable launch points. It can be moved, hidden, repositioned, then fired. And then comes the part most people misunderstand. This isn't just about hitting cities. With guidance systems that can reduce error margins to around 10 meters, this becomes a targeted strike tool, capable of hitting infrastructure, command nodes, or hardened facilities. So now the question shifts. Was this about damage or demonstration? The moment those launches were detected, Israel's defenses activated. Sirens, alerts, civilian warnings pushed directly to phones. Interceptors went up fast, and many worked. But here's the part that rarely gets said clearly. Even a 95% interception rate still means impact when enough missiles are fired. Debris fell over Greater Tel Aviv. Shrapnel injuries were reported. Structures were hit, not by direct strikes but by what got through, or what fell apart mid-air. That should have been the end of the exchange. It wasn't. Israel responded, but not where most people expected. Instead of mirroring missile for missile, Israel struck Tehran. Specifically, a facility tied to Iran's military space program. That sounds unrelated. It isn't. Because space systems aren't just about satellites. They're about eyes, timing, navigation, and targeting. According to Israeli statements, the site was linked to anti-satellite capabilities, technology designed to disrupt or destroy orbital systems. And here's the twist. If you disable satellites, you don't just affect surveillance. You disrupt missile guidance, early warning systems, and coordination. So this wasn't just retaliation. It was preemptive shaping of the battlefield above the battlefield. And this is where things escalate. Just days earlier, another space-related site had already been hit. Now this. 2 strikes, same domain. That's a pattern. Standard logic says conflicts stay in familiar lanes, land, air, sea. But the data reveals a shift into orbit. And before that could even settle, Wave 55 launched. A second barrage, new targets, this time including Ben Gurion Airport, Israel's main aviation hub, civilian, military, logistical. Hitting it doesn't just create damage, it disrupts movement, supply chains, and perception of security. And Iran added another layer. Hypersonic systems, including the Fatah missile, alongside drones and conventional ballistic platforms. That should have been a red line already crossed. Then things got worse. Because hypersonic systems don't just move fast, they maneuver at high speed, making interception far more complex. So now defenses aren't just reacting to speed, they're reacting to unpredictability at speed. Let's zoom out. This isn't a single strike, it's not even a single escalation, it's a ladder. First, conventional missile exchanges, then advanced systems like the Sejjil, then multi-layered barrages, then strikes on space infrastructure, now hypersonics and strategic targets. Each step builds on the last. Each one raises the stakes. And here's the uncomfortable question. What happens when both sides still have higher steps available? Iran has now shown it's willing to deploy previously unused systems. Israel has shown it's willing to strike deep inside Tehran, including long-term strategic programs. Neither side is signaling restraint. Both are signaling capability. And this is where most people misunderstand what's happening. At first glance, this looks like retaliation cycles. It's not. It's capability testing under real conditions. Systems being used not just to hit, but to observe, measure, and refine, which means the real impact of these strikes might not be visible yet. So we're left with an open loop. If the Sejjil was just introduced, what hasn't been used yet? If space systems are now targets, what happens when satellites start going dark? And if hypersonic weapons are entering the field, how long before interception itself becomes unreliable? Because the next phase of this conflict won't be defined by what was launched tonight, but by what both sides are now willing to risk next.